Jewish Education in Media is pleased to present L'Chaim, a program that highlights the people, issues, and events of importance to the Jewish community. Now here is your host, Rabbi Mark Golub.
I'm here at the Israeli Consulate in New York City, their conference room. I have the chance to speak to two of the young men and women who serve in the IDF, who make an extraordinary contribution not only to the state of Israel, but to the Jewish people, and just to give you a sense of who they are and what some of the issues they confront are and what their thinking is. And I have the pleasure of beginning with Neta, and I thank you so much for being willing to sit with us.
Thank you.
How long have you been in the United States now on this trip?
We're here since Sunday, so I guess 5 days.
Did you understand before you came to America the depths of support you receive from American Jewry?
No.
What was that like, understanding that?
It was really heartwarming because when we see the media and the legitimation of Israel in some kind of media, it's really frustrating because we keep doing our job and we believe in what we're doing. We believe in the moral values of the IDF, and to see how Israel is presented in the media, it's frustrating. And when we come here, and the FIDF dinner was amazing, and we are talking with bloggers, and we see that not everybody believes what they see in the media, and it's really great.
It must have in some way given you a better sense of even the work you do. And you're a doctor, correct?
Yeah.
Where were you trained?
As a doctor,
Yes.
I studied in the Technion in Haifa.
And how many years ago did you actually become a doctor?
7.5 years.
Okay. Was this part, did the IDF in any way help your training?
It's a special program of the IDF. Most of the young people in Israel after graduation, they recruit to the army. I started studying with the support of the IDF. During the vacations, I made an officer course. And when I finished, it's a civilian studies. Like all my friends from the faculty are now civilians. When I came back to the army, I was stationed as a battalion doctor.
You would like to be an anesthesiologist?
Yeah.
Okay, but right now in the field, you do everything.
Yeah. A battalion doctor, first of all, is taking care of the young soldiers. Sometimes they're sick, sometimes they're in pain, sometimes they need someone to talk with them and to remind them that the world is good and everything is fine. But there is also, for example, in my area, our battalions are spread in the West Bank. There are a lot of car accidents which we are taking care of. A lot of Palestinians, for example, seeking for our help. And we are doing just general medicine to whoever needs it. Trying, at least.
You understand that for many people who are influenced by media reports about Israel, the notion that an Israeli officer in the role of a doctor is helping Palestinians on the West Bank, it's not the image that the media portrays. Yeah. I want you to speak for a moment about the extent to which your work specifically brings you in contact with Palestinians.
Okay, I can give some examples.
Please.
The example I was talking about in the dinner, about a 50 years old man came to one of the checkpoints and asked the soldiers. He knew that the soldiers there will call us as their medical troop because he didn't have enough money to go to the hospital in Ramallah. And of course we took care of them as much as we could. As I said, car accidents. And another example, which is not very usual, suspected people in terrorism that we arrest. I mean, the army sometimes arrests people. They are in my responsibility. As soon as the battalion goes and get them, it's my responsibility to make sure that they are healthy, that they don't need any medication, and if they need medication, I will give it to them, to make sure they're not hurt. If they need a doctor in the place they're going to, I will make sure they will see a doctor. It's our responsibility to make sure that they're fine in the medical aspect.
This is the goal of your work,
Yeah.
one of the goals of your work. Is it in practice as you've described it as a goal? In other words, sometimes there's an ideal,
Yeah.
but that if we were on the ground watching day to day,
Yeah.
it would be less realized than more realized. To what extent is what you're describing what really happens day to day?
It really happens. It really happens there. I think about 70% of the medical troops' time is spent on helping Palestinians.
I want you to say that again. 70%?
More or less. We take care of Palestinians much more than we take care of Israeli civilians or soldiers.
And that's because of why?
As I said, car accidents are a problem in the West Bank. It's just the population. The population in the West Bank is made of Palestinians, the majority right now, and settlers, okay, and soldiers. And because the majority is the Palestinians, so we have more interaction, okay? But we will take care. When a medical troop is getting called for a car accident, he had no idea whether it's a soldier, whether it's a Palestinian, whether it's a settler, and they don't care. Actually, they don't care who is it. They care about just taking care of this person, of these people, medically.
Forgive me for pushing you a little bit on this subject. It is so fascinating. And again, Neta, I believe it goes against what most people imagine. So I want to describe it a little bit more. You know, we're meeting now in the aftermath of two horrific events that struck Israel lately. First, there was the tragedy in Itamar with the Fogel family when a mother, father, and 3 of their children were literally slain in their bedrooms. And then, as we're meeting, it's just a few days after a bombing in Jerusalem. And there hasn't been that kind of bombing for a long time. And all of a sudden, it shakes everybody. And I hope you understand, especially since you now saw that dinner, that there are many American Jews who, even if they're not Israeli, even if they haven't been to Israel in a long time, when something like this happens, we feel it happens to us too. We identify with the pain and suffering of our Jewish people in Israel. But it must be 10 times, 100 times worse for those of you who live in Israel, who sometimes know the people who are injured or sometimes lose their lives. It would not surprise us if there was resentment and anger and bitterness among young Israelis your age, so that you would almost say, why am I taking care of Palestinians who are in some way connected to people who are sneaking into villages, into settlements, and blowing up bus stations? Why is there... The question is, do you hate Palestinians? And explain to America how you are able, as a doctor, not only to take care of Jews on the West Bank, whether it's settlers or visitors or whatever, but you're telling me you and your colleagues go to a car accident, it doesn't matter at all to you whether when you get there it's an Israeli, it's a Jew, it's a Palestinian. In light of what we see happening, explain it to me.
Okay. First of all, I do not hate Palestinians. That have to be very clear. And I'll explain that the situation in the West Bank is very complicated. We must remember, and the soldiers know that too, that most of the Palestinians and the settlers are just people who want to live in peace. Most of the Palestinians don't go into settlements and slaughtering families. I'll tell you a story, okay? once, last Passover, I was in the battalion, and they told us there was a guy who's going to stab, he was planning to stab a soldier the day next, and we had to stop him. So they arrested him, the battalion. It was very quiet, nothing very special. But I have to examine him because I have to make sure that he's fine. And when I examined him, I didn't think about, okay, he was going to kill a soldier tomorrow. I didn't think about it. And one of the other soldiers asked me, when I told the story, how could you do that? And I told him, as a doctor, it's a different identity. And sometimes, not only doctor, just a soldier in a checkpoint, it's a different identity because you represent something. And you get into the role of someone who is there to keep it quiet, to make sure that no one is get hurt. And another story, if you want, really, about the complexity of the West Bank. Something happened 3 weeks ago, more or less. It was a fight between settlers and Palestinians about a neighborhood fighting even. I'm not sure it was political, because it happens a lot. And one of the Palestinians attacked a settler, and the battalion hurt him. And the Palestinian, very lightly. So he stopped from attacking the settler. They stopped him. And the commander told the medic, go take care of the Palestinian. Okay, because he's hurt. We are not intent to kill him, just disarm him. So the medic went and took care of the Palestinian, and then one of the settlers, the extremist settlers, because of course not all the settlers are like that, just came and slapped the commander about taking care of Palestinian after he just saved his life. This events demonstrate the complexity. The commander was very mature, and he did not react because he was in the identity of an IDF soldier who has nothing to do with who is right and who is wrong. Okay, I guess that when he comes home and take off his uniform, he will talk with the family and friends. I'm sure he has an opinion, but in the field, when it happens, we know we're IDF soldiers. We're not hurting innocent people. We have, of course, trying to avoid of. We have moral values. We have the spirit of the IDF, which leads us. And that's our identity, and that's how we work. Because otherwise, we could not work. We just lose our identity as Jewish people, as IDF soldiers, because there are also un-Jewish people in the IDF.
Neta, to what extent do you feel the ethic you have just described is an ethic that permeates the IDF, or is it yours because you're a doctor?
I think it's not just because I'm a doctor. When I came to the battalion at first, remember I studied before the army, so I was like in a civilian state of mind. And when I got into the battalion, I was so surprised by the effort and the time invested to educate the young soldiers. Before any operation, the commander comes and he reminds them, remember, our mission is 1, 2, 3. We are not there to kill. We are not there to harm. We are there to take, I don't know, to look for a weapon. We are there to take someone from here to there. He reminds them again and again. Not the rules of when to shoot. There are very strict rules. It's almost impossible, actually, for a soldier to shoot. Only if he feels in a real
in danger.
In danger, for his life. But the rules are very strict. If someone is it's just to make sure that no one is confused. And a lot of effort is invested in this thing, and I was so surprised to see it. And I'm sure the other soldiers can tell it from their point of view, and it's all over the IDF. We are warriors, and we need to act according to warriors'
responsibilities and
responsibility and and values.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so proud on the young soldiers. I couldn't believe what I've seen when I got into they deal with such a hard dilemmas every day. And they're so young, they're only 18, 20, and they're doing a wonderful job. And unfortunately, you hear only about the bad things, but no one sees the young soldiers standing every day in a checkpoint, dealing with hundreds of Palestinians interactions, and doing it in such a great way. I'm so proud of them, really.
We are so proud of you. Are your mother and father alive?
Of course, yeah.
What are their names?
Giora and Donka.
Your parents have so much to be proud about, and Neta, you are a wonderful representative, not simply of the IDF, but of the Jewish people. Thank you, Neta. Kol
Thank you
tuva
very
hatzlacha
much.
for spending time with us. Thank you very, very
Thank
much.
you.
I now have the wonderful opportunity to sit with a member of the IDF whose name is Omry. We are not showing him on camera because of the work he does. He's going to explain in a minute. The work he does is sensitive, and he's not permitted to show his face on camera, but he is kind enough to say he would talk to us. Toda Rabba, thank you for talking to us. But explain to our audience what work you do so we understand why it is sensitive and why you really should not be on camera.
Okay, so I'm a fighter pilot in the IDF in the Israeli Air Force. I fly the F-15I.
Really?
Yeah, it's the Strike Eagle of the American Air Force. And it's called Thunder, which means Ram in Hebrew.
Yes?
Um,
How old are you?
I'm almost 27 years
And how long have you been flying planes?
I'm in the Israeli Air Force for eight and a half years. It's 3 years, the academic flight. It's 3 years course,
Yes?
and after you finish it, you sign for 9 more years.
Will you always fly planes for a living?
No, I'm always was interested in aircraft, and I love being in the air, and I love the speed, and the adrenaline, and the passion. And the 12 years is so long, so you have a lot of experience with a lot of things. And I will have to decide in about 3.5 years if I want to stay in the Israeli Air Force or to quit.
Omry, have you flown a plane in some kind of combat situation?
Yeah,
Where?
I participated in the Castlet.
Operation Cast Lead in Gaza. What was your responsibility?
Actually, you've got targets from the ground that been examined very carefully and from all possible aspects to minimize the chances that you might hurt innocent people or uninvolved citizens. And after you have a permission to attack the target, you take off. You still need to get another permission before you take while you're in the air on the radio. And even if after you drop the bomb, you still need to look at the target and to see that uninvolved citizens is near the target till the last second that the bomb is going to impact the target. So actually, it's targets of the Hamas, most of them, all of them, and my job was to hit those targets that were examined from all the aspects I told before.
You know, the international media makes a big deal anytime Israelis take the life of civilians. Collateral damage is a terrible term. I don't know the equivalent in Hebrew. The idea that you call human beings collateral damage, I find to be horrific. But it is almost inevitable in war that there won't be innocent people, meaning non-combatants, who are struck by the fire of the other side. In this case, it's inconceivable that a pilot such as you could only hit a Hamas target, and that there wouldn't be some civilians who were caught in the crossfire. And I'm wondering how you feel about that.
It's a very hard thing. You're right. And we still do our best, and usually we do it good. There are mistakes sometimes, and we're very painful, and I feel terrible if something happened and I, by mistake, hit innocent people. It didn't happen to me before, and I hope it won't.
It hasn't happened to you yet?
No, not personally.
That's
but
wonderful.
I can tell you two things. First of all, I will give you example of
Please.
my squadron attack, that there was the air crew that got permission to attack the target. They dropped the bomb. During the time of flight, there were 2 or 3 cars of uninvolved citizens and one man that walked by foot. And 4 seconds to impact, they've been told on the radio to switch the bomb to the side. So
you can direct a bomb in its flight?
yeah, I can't tell you exactly how,
But you can.
but it's a guided bomb, so you can still control the bomb. And in 4 seconds to impact, they switched the bomb 200 meters, something like that. And after the explosion, you could see that the cars are still driving and the one person is still walking, so everyone was alive. Another thing about the feeling, you asked about the feelings. So go back home and land back in your base when you didn't do your mission and you didn't attack your target that you were supposed to attack. It's not a easy feeling, because they always learn you that mission is first of all, before everything, and you have to do the mission. The mission is the most important thing. But what I realized during the castle operation, that the most important thing was not hurting uninvolved citizens, and just then hit the target. And another thing, when you don't attack the target, it means you go back with the bombs on the aircraft. It means that the aircraft is heavier. When the aircraft is heavier, you risk yourself more on landing, because it's heavier. The land is more dangerous. The stop is more dangerous. The brakes got hit more than when the aircraft is
lighter.
But we do that. We do that with the good feeling that we risk ourselves because we could not attack the targets.
So how do you and your friends in your squadron feel and react when a Goldstone report comes out saying that Israelis intentionally went out to kill Palestinian civilians?
I'm angry. I feel angry. How can they say it after I know I landed just before 10 minutes and I did not attack my target because there was innocent people there, and that's the only reason I didn't do it. The target was important. The bomb is very expensive bomb, and we switched the bomb to the sides and it's exploded, and it didn't do the mission, and it didn't hit the target it should be. And I just feel terrible, and I'm not understanding how can they say it. That's the feeling.
Do you hate Palestinians?
No.
Do you hate Arabs?
No.
Why not?
I live with them. I have an Arabic friend. He learned with me in my class. They are human beings. I don't hate anybody. It's a military issues, and the Hamas is shooting missiles at the south end of the country, and they are terrorist organizations. But it's a military issue, and when I'm in the military and when I do my job as a pilot, I do what I have been told to. When I'm not a pilot, I'm a human being, I'm a person, and I don't hate anybody.
Even though there are Palestinians who are breaking into communities and killing people in their sleep and putting bombs once again in Jerusalem bus stations, you still don't hate.
Because it's small groups. There are different between the Palestinians as a big group and the terror organization that they are a small group, that I am fighting against them in order to protect my country. I don't attack them because I want to kill them. I attack them because they are threatening my country and my citizens, and I need to protect my country. That's what I have been trained for, and generally I don't hate the Palestinians.
So my last question. There are American Jews who argue that the Palestinian people as a whole really want to annihilate the Jewish state, don't believe there should be a Zionist entity anywhere in the Middle East, and that our enemy, the enemy of the Jewish people, is the Palestinian people. You seem not to feel that way. If you had the opportunity to speak to American Jews about this issue, what's the one message you'd want to express to them?
I would tell them, I think I will tell them to, if they don't have a reason that threatens their life during the day, don't hate anybody and don't be angry on anybody. They need to realize that it's coming from defense. It's coming from protecting my country and not about hate, relationship, and angry, and I don't know. If there was no reason, I prefer not to do it, but we have to.
Your parents must be very, very proud of you. And I want to tell you something.
Yeah.
It's not just your parents who are proud of you. I'm proud of you.
Thank you very much.
The entire Jewish people are proud of you. And you represent more than the state of Israel. You represent the Jewish people. I am so proud to have met you. I hope we will come across each other in other occasions. And one day you'll be out of the service and I can put your face on television as well. But it has been a very profound pleasure for me,
too.
to meet you. And I wish you kol tuv v'hatzlacha in all of your work.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Very,
Thank you very
very
much.
We would be pleased to send a complimentary DVD of this program to anyone who wishes to support Shalom TV with a tax-deductible gift of $36, double chai or more, to the nonprofit organization Jewish Education in Media. Simply visit the Shalom TV website homepage and click on the Donate button to make a donation by PayPal or your credit card. And please indicate the program for which you would like a DVD. Or you can send your tax-deductible check made out to GEM, Post Office Box 180, Riverdale Station, Bronx, New York 10471. And again, please remember to indicate which program you would like to receive on DVD with our compliments. And we thank you for your kind support.
L'chaim is a presentation of Jewish Education in Media.